You're welcome to the Possibility Series. My name is Camila Banda. I'm an entrepreneur, a lover of positive change, and a youth empowerment specialist, among many other things. Today, I am interviewing an amazing entrepreneur whose story will blow you away, depending on how he tells it. Ladies and gentlemen, I am here with the CEO of BroadPay and the CEO of Sparko, Mr. Bright Chinyundu. Hi, Bright.
Hi, Camila.
How are you
Thanks for having me here. I'm fine. How are you?
I'm good. It is my absolute pleasure to have you here, even though it might have taken a little bit of coaxing. But I'm glad you're in the chair.
Thanks. I'm actually glad to be here. Hello, viewers.
Yeah. So, Bright, tell us about yourself. Who is Bright?
Well, Bright is an entrepreneur. I'm a tech guy. I'm a software engineer. And what else is that to say? And that's all. That's it.
Okay, so we've literally got, now that we've got Bright in a nutshell. Bright, this is called the Possibility Series because we're looking into what possibilities would be there if young people fully mobilized themselves and engaged in the power that they possess in order to make positive change, especially economically and with regards to the field of entrepreneurship. This series is dedicated to helping young people open their eyes to see what is out there for them if they just, reached out and step out. Things that an individual such as yourself has done already so far. So, could you tell us a bit about your journey? Like, where did it start from? Like, who was Bright then and who is Bright now?
Okay, I think my journey started when I was still a teenager. I don't know if it's legal to say this right now on camera, but I used to burn CDs when I was 18. I was at Wunza at the time. I would go to the bars in Kalingalinga and ask them what music they wanted, and I would tell them, you don't have to buy the whole album. Whatever you wanted, you make a collection, I'll burn the CD for you. They'll be surprised. This kid, how does he do it? Go to the internet cafe, download the songs, put it on CD, and sell. That's when I realized that I could actually do business. So was at Wunza for 6 months doing that. That's how I made my money. That's when I realized that, yeah, I could do business. And I got addicted to making money, little money.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. You got addicted to making money. Yeah. I really like that. Yeah, because money is a changer. Like, money switches things up, Like, it buys you things that,
exactly,
poverty can.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's also important that people see that, as something positive, as we've been saying throughout the series. We need to see making money as something positive and not as, not taking so much pride and glory in, the alternative narrative. So, tell me, Bright, seeing as you were a young Unza student, impressionable and clearly innovative, because you thought of a way to cut out, probably hundreds of thousands of middlemen in that particular scenario.
Exactly.
Please don't come get him, please. So what do you do in your current work? So, like that was younger Bright, and what does a regular day for you look like now?
Okay, so I didn't imagine this would be me, because after Unza, I went to Russia and studied software engineering, and for a long time, all I was doing was writing code. So even me, starting to build tech, I just thought that's what I'd be doing, building tech through code. But now, I'm just more of on the strategy part, the finance. I'm not even a finance person, but I had to learn the hard way. So on a daily basis, that's what I look at, just the numbers and strategy, where the business is going, and different partnerships on the continent. I can't even remember the last time I looked at code, and I look at the software engineers at BroadPay and Sparko, and they just look at me and say, this guy doesn't know anything, but they don't know we are the old school guys.
The OGs.
The OGs.
All right, that's really amazing. And so tell us what BroadPay and Sparko do and what the impact of that work has been in terms of the number of people that you're able to touch through the solutions that you've provided.
Okay, so I'm going to start with BroadPay.
Okay.
So I founded BroadPay in 2012, and we started with the airtime machines, the shopping malls that were written. This machine does not give change. You put in cash, you buy airtime, you pay for DSTV. And over the years, we focused more on partnering with different NGOs to take financial services in rural areas. Yes, so we partnered even with the Ministry of Finance. We took financial services in rural areas, and rural areas, people are able to make cash transfers, buy airtime through our products. So that's BroadPay. And then Sparko is a USA-based company. Yes, it's a fintech in Delaware, and expanded to Nigeria and Zambia to build a payments infrastructure for African businesses. So what Sparko does is it allows African businesses to scale in other countries and use the payment infrastructure to accept payments and also make payments. I don't know if that's too techy. I could dilute it a little bit if I've gone too deep.
Bit, just for an audience member
so
out
you've
there.
got you've got, for instance, a business that wants to sell products to someone in China, for instance. They should be able to collect payments instantly from the person in China who wants to pay for the product here. And if you want to buy furniture, for example, you've got a shop here, but your supplier is in China, you should be able to make the payment to the person in China instantly. And that's what Sparko is doing. For a market like Zambia, for these products, realize that it's a small market. The GDP is small, the population is small. And so we thought, let Africa be the market. And this doesn't mean we are not being patriotic, but we're tired of seeing people saying, oh, we've got foreigners that are coming to take over. Foreigners are making money in Zambia. Who's stopping you from going out there and make money and bring it to Zambia? Because we do not have the right market to take Zambia to where we want it to be. Okay, but you've got a lot of countries, even, well, let's take, for example, the UK, Britain itself, right? When they realized that they didn't have the resources to make Britain great, what did they do? They started colonizing the rest of the world. And I think that's a mindset we need to have. Like, if we don't have the resources to make Zambia great, if you keep complaining that there's no billionaire in Zambia, of course you can't have a billionaire in Zambia. You only have the GDP of about $20 billion. Where are you going to have one person owning $1 billion? Go out and make it. Bring it to Zambia, add to the GDP. So
that is an absolutely amazing conversation, and I'm really glad that we made the segue into simplifying it. And this is why I've called it the Possibility Series. And this is why you're a guest on here, because you're simply the epitome of what possibilities are and the stuff that we're able to do. When you first decided to embark on a mission to say, okay, I'm gonna do something that's gonna make me great, where, the space, you could say, in Zambia wasn't necessarily available for you to spread your wings as far as wide as you wanted to do them, up until a point where you even have a company that's in the USA looking to raise funds and also pin a flag on Zambia. Zambia Kuchalo in its own. That's actually literally the definition, what we look for when we say Zambia Kuchalo. What could you describe to us the journey of what happened in your mind from you seeing yourself as, okay, just a student trying to make a buck, into now a man, a very young man that is, also trying to make lives better for hundreds and thousands of people, as you have been since 2012.
Okay. So I think when I was young, like you say, I was just a student trying to make a buck, right? But now it's more about providing, like, building solutions. I could have stayed. I've got a lot of friends that stayed back in Russia, and they're doing well. Some of them went to the UK, some went to the USA. It's easier to actually move from there once you are done with school and go to the USA and whatever. But I thought we need to go back home and build something into a country that we are proud of. When you say I'm from Zambia, you don't have to explain yourself where exactly it's located. Because,
right?
Yeah, because when I was in Russia the whole time, exactly.
South Central Africa.
Yeah, I was really frustrated and I got obsessed with what can we do in Zambia to make it better, right? And when I came back, after I didn't come back. I didn't come back for like 5 years. So I already had a different picture because I'm used to seeing the clean environment of Europe, the buildings, and so you're beginning to think Zambia has changed to almost that. And then you get to the airport and they're like, oh, I'm back home, still the same.
Yeah.
Exactly. And for a moment, you are back to blaming the leaders. You are like, what's happening? This country, why is it being kept this way? Then I went back to, you know what? We need to build something. You don't have to be in political leadership to change your country. You can build great things like with other Zambians. You come together and build. And so the money part came as a plus. Like you build a solution. If people need it, they'll use it.
Absolutely.
If they use it, they'll pay for it. Yeah, so the mind changed to build the solutions, build something people want, and they'll use it. Then they'll pay for it.
Then they'll pay for it. That's amazing. Could you recommend? I'm sure there are a lot of experiences that happened, from your past and everything that built you up into, who you are today.
Yeah.
But are you able to recommend? I don't know if you're much of a reader or even somebody who watches movies.
Yeah.
Because I know one of my good friends, he's inspired mostly by movies. He will not pick up a book to read. That's a lie. Yeah, but he's still doing, great and amazing things. And so could you recommend maybe your top 5 movies or books that helped you build a mindset or even see yourself in a different way? Because what I hear from you is an individual that has been empowered.
Yeah.
And so what have been some of the most empowering, it could even be a empowering conversation that you may have stumbled upon that made you see yourself as a solution rather than a victim?
Okay. So before I go back to what inspired me, I'd recommend the new movie Lamborghini. I don't know if you've seen it. Have you seen that movie?
Not yet, but I feel
That's a
like this
good
is the
story.
second time you've recommended it. So I'm
it's
definitely gonna take note.
that's a good story. That's just recently I got inspired and I'm like, I could relate because some of the stuff that happened in there is stuff that happened to me in my journey.
So it's like right there in the heart and the feels. Yeah.
Exactly. But I would have loved to say in the past, okay, so when I started, right, tech and entrepreneurship and just the whole startup ecosystem wasn't in fashion. There wasn't an ecosystem.
Yeah, 2012. I can remember 2012.
Exactly.
My God.
It's just like, okay, fine. We're gonna build a company, and the first thing you think of is, okay, Pakra, right? Pakra. Then you are thinking of solutions. At that time, we're like, we'll build. That time we're trying to build what we saw in Europe, right? Yeah. No, we're going to bring
Sort of
that.
a copy-paste of a solution.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We'll make Zambia look. Even those machines, the airtime machines we started with, were very common in Russia, right? Very common in Russia. But then, over the years, that's when we realized, no. So the inspiration part didn't come from the movies or the books or no. This is more recent. Then it was about, my people don't need this. Exactly. My people don't need this. What do they need? And then we started getting our hands dirty. Like, let's write the code right here for what the people need in Africa or what the people need in Zambia. Well, we started with Zambia, but then we realized it's almost a common problem, right? So the inspiration came from really the problems that we thought we were solving, but we weren't really solving. You get it?
That is absolutely amazing and mind-blowing. And the whole reason, for this conversation,
yeah.
the whole reason for the conversation around the possibility series is how, number one, we have seen ourselves, and number one, how we've judged our problems. Because a lot of people would look at a problem and then, judge it and call it a death sentence. However, in your case, you've seen an opportunity.
Exactly.
And the same way in which the world would love to impose their solutions on us, it has never ever meant that we didn't have solutions for the world.
Exactly.
Because the unique context of our problems provides a particular perspective. And this perspective is saying we see something that everybody else doesn't. There's a whole big conversation right now about black tax, yada, yada.
Yeah.
But then there was something else that I read very recently that really strung my heart. And the question was, is it black tax or is it Ubuntu? Because we would complain so much about black tax, but then when we see how Ubuntu has worked in cultures that frame it the right way, such as I feel like our Asian brothers and sisters, the Indians and the like, they do this very well, because they help each other out. When they lend for business, they lend it without interest. And they pass on businesses from generation to generation, something that may not exactly be very common in the African setup. And here's one thing that I've also experienced myself about comfort. Once you leave Zambia and you experience a certain level of comfort, there's something about you that doesn't want to leave it. So, very few people have the mentality to say, let me go and make this better for others, because once you've experienced the comfort, it's far easier to stay there. Trust me, the first few years of my return to Zambia was just like, how do I get back out? How do I get back out? How do I get back out? But I'm so glad God frustrated me until I gave up and stayed, just for me to see, that Zambia is a diamond. There's so many solutions, and there's so many young entrepreneurs such as yourself that are actually, showing up and saying, look, Zambia Kuchalo, we have solutions for the world. We have something that the world is looking for, and it's high time that is celebrated. So I'm so grateful for that. For your story. And okay.
And when you're talking about inspiration, for example, now, because we followed that journey of solving Zambian problems. The rest of the movies now that we're following, tech stories like Social Network, which was based on Facebook and everything, was just like relating to now what we had gone through. And you're watching a movie like,
relating to your lived experiences.
You're like, this makes sense. You watch another movie like, that makes so much sense, And then you start learning. Now the whole entrepreneurship becomes a thing, and they're like, okay, I was actually on the right track.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I really love this parallel because I feel like my journey has always been the attainment of information and then a journey through lived experiences. But I love how yours is such an antithesis. It goes, the lived experiences, then stumbling upon information. It's like, oh, wait, so you mean like this is common?
Exactly. And there was so much, I really wanted the whole, like the startup ecosystem in Zambia to develop. And I would be impressed to see people trying their best to teach others about entrepreneurship, about tech ecosystem. I don't know if you remember this, but the first time I met you the first time I saw you was at NIPA. You were there. I was like, okay, this is impressive. Like, people are now trying to develop this space. Yeah, exactly. So now, with the help of like incubators like Bongo Hive, I'm really impressed at the stage at which we've reached, and people have opened up their minds that you don't need to wait for the government, you don't need to wait to get a job, and just go out there and start building things. Break things, build, break, build, until you get it right.
Oh, speaking of that, I love what you said, break, build, break, build, break, build, because, there's no linear journey.
Exactly, no, there isn't.
There's no linear journey to the top, it's hills and valleys, but then we always make steady ascents towards the top. And so tell us, like, how did you develop a sort of mental toughness? Because I can tell you that I had started businesses in 2012.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
I started businesses in 2012, of which I regret quitting now.
Okay.
Simply because I've seen so many other people who were far behind me, like eons behind.
Yeah, yeah.
I saw so many people that were far behind me. After I had stopped like soar, and now it's like I'll probably never catch up.
Yeah.
Back to the drawing board. So tell me about how you've built resilience. Like what has it taken for you to like just not quit and throw in the towel? Because
Okay.
we're not here to lie to you people.
Yeah.
This is hard. Okay, it's hard, but then as you can see, like at the end of the journey, it's
Yeah.
very worth it. So Bright, tell us about how you've built resilience.
It's simple. At a certain stage in life, I became unemployable. I got to a stage where, okay, if I quit right now, no one is going to employ me. I wouldn't employ me. You get it?
Wow, the verdict.
Yeah, like right now, if I quit and started looking for a job as what? Software engineer, I haven't written code in a bit. What? I'm gonna go to Zanaco and apply as a CEO? You see?
Who's gonna give up their seat?
Exactly,
Yeah.
because that's been my experience building, and I'm not gonna go to another person's startup or to a tech company and apply to become a CEO, because unfortunately in this space, the founder for a certain number of years has to be the CEO as well to make it work. That's why you see even in Silicon Valley, you see what's his name, Mark Zuckerberg is still the CEO and is the founder. I'm not gonna apply to another person's tech company and say I want to be your CEO. So I'm not employable. If I quit right now, I'll be homeless. So you have to make sure it works.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
it's just like, and I love that because you see the alternative,
Yeah.
and this is something that I've seen played out in a number of people, is where they enter a deep depression and they go into despair.
Yeah.
And then it's just like, okay, after this, I'm just gonna get a job as a clerk, and then they'll be like, for so long as there's a roof over my head,
Yeah.
like, I don't care what roof is gonna
Yeah.
happen. But I really love the no turning back mentality. It's just like, listen, from here,
Exactly.
swim or swim.
Exactly.
Swim or swim.
Yeah.
Like, there's no sinking
Yeah.
here, only swimming.
I remember like with BroadPay, right? I told my team, I told them like, well, I wouldn't say my team, my board, right? So I had an investor who came on board. We formed the board of directors.
Yeah.
And they asked me, they said, so how do we know that? Because I was in my 20s. Like, how do we know that you won't just quit and go back to your job? I'm like, I just quit my job and told them I'm going to start my own company. There's no going back. No one's going to hire me.
Yeah.
Yeah, because this means when I was working for them, I was busy working on something else. So my mental state wasn't in that space of working for them. Most of the time it takes a lot to build a
I
company.
think I can totally relate to that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So who's gonna hire me if they hear that story? Like, there's no going back. This is the path that I've chosen.
Wow.
Yeah.
I've never heard like a more beautiful series of blunders.
Yeah.
Like, this is just amazing. Like, you can't make this stuff up.
Exactly. You can't make it up.
You really can't make it up.
Yeah.
Okay, and so, I feel like, your answers have really covered a broad spectrum of, like what I had planned to ask you guys. This is a list of questions. And I really feel like, you've gone through it. Is there anything in Zambia's future, or that you're excited for the young Zambian now? Things that may have not been possible, when we were much younger, but that are possible for the young people now. Is there anything that you're excited about?
Yeah. A lot of people don't realize this, but right now, young people are supposed to take over, because the world is being set up in such a way that young people should thrive, right? I'm saying this because everything is riding on tech. Everything is about social media. But here we are allowing the old school guys still running things.
To dictate.
Exactly,
the
to
paths.
dictate. Yeah, exactly. But there's a lot that you can do through technology, through social media. Everything is connected. The world right now is just a global village. And there's a lot that young people are doing right now that the old school guys don't understand. Now, imagine the old guys actually understood technology. a lot of young people won't have possibilities because there's this whole notion of, being in charge of things and just leaving the breadcrumbs to the young generation.
Ones, yeah.
Exactly. And this is a time for young people to realize that it's their time to run things.
Absolutely.
And if we do it right, we'll take over.
Absolutely right. I just feel like there's also a huge gap between conversations that we're having around tech, considering how it is evolving around the world and how it is impacting us. But then not too many people that have been involved in tech or the discussions around technology are exactly, let me say, very well skilled or very well versed in this particular area. Let's speak to an incident of gene coding. I was listening to a podcast in which they were speaking about gene coding. Gene coding is a form of science that they have developed in which they can change genetic structures, genetic makeup, in order to produce desirable qualities. It was first started as a means of combating sickle cell. However, now, even the ethics in tech, start the ethics and politics in tech start to take place because this simply means that a mother can decide, I want myself a LeBron James, and now I can go to a gene coder and say, let's do this gene thing. Let's make whoever and whatever we want to make, which I feel like takes away a whole lot of the surprise and the beauty of life. But, people have their reasons. But the most interesting fact about gene coder is as of last year, when I listened to this podcast, the #1 rated gene coder on the earth, as in the world's planet, is a 12-year-old girl.
Oh.
She's a 12-year-old girl, and and imagine this is a 12-year-old girl that doesn't know that she could be onto a $1 trillion industry, considering how many people would like to code genes. It's just like, okay, I could think of a million uses of having, like a child with Einstein's capacity, LeBron's athleticism, and Nelson Mandela's leadership quality. You can imagine, and for young people,
that would be chaotic, though.
It would be chaotic. It would be chaotic. This is how come, even as the young leaders of today, for us who understand what technology is and the impact it's going to have, and even on business, the sort of industries technology could birth. I feel like that burden of responsibilities should be really high on us because we are the ones who understand tech. We're the ones who are daily consumers of it. And therefore, we should be able to speak to, okay, what is a world that we want to see? What is it we have seen and what is it that we're keeping? What is it that we have seen and what is it that we're trashing? And what can we do to make, society better for ourselves? And I feel like this all really starts, the reason this conversation is around entrepreneurship and economic development is because it's only with resources can you make impact.
That's right.
A poor man has never changed anybody's lives. Well, except for, maybe make people around him miserable. But okay, that's harsh. I own that. That's harsh. I'm really excited about this conversation. So, would you happen to have any closing thoughts for a young person out there? You're free to look into the camera. And any closing thought for a young person out there that you might have as we close on as we close the conversation on this possibility series?
Okay. For the young people, you still have time to make mistakes. I see a lot of young people, especially on social media, be under pressure because they are seeing what's happening on social media. This one is doing that, this one is doing this one has an iPhone, this one has that. Forget about that. You should focus on building things, make mistakes, try a job, quit, try a company, close it, do it again. By the time you're my age,
are we disclosing that?
by the time you're my age, I'm not gonna like 3 white beards. Yeah, by next year I'll have like 5, 6, 7. Yeah, but yeah, by the time you're my age, well, you'll be an expert at building things.
Absolutely. So young people, listen, this has been the Possibility Series. Our takeaway here is learn, build, break it down, fail, get up, try again, and that's a part of the beautiful journey we call life. Thank you very much. This has been Bright, Chinyundu, and Camila Banda. Until the next Possibility Series, we're out.